Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll rate leaders of England and Norway, including new ones. Starting right now with the Queen Victoria Age of Empire. Leader bonus Pax Britannica. Each time you find your first city on a continent other than your home continent, receive a free melee unit and a trader capacity. Constructing a Royal Navy dockyard grants you the strongest naval unit you can build. Gain the Red Card unique unit when the military science technology is researched. Lighthouses grants +1 or Great Admiral points per turn. Pax Britannica grants us a various number of bonuses which can be used in a specific circumstance, except Great Admiral points, which helps us a lot in a Great Admiral race. So we can have extra trader which can boost us early game, but if we have no continent split, it doesn't really matter, because late game it's not that big of a deal to have extra trader, because we'll have about 10, 12, 15, 17, depends on the time when you settle on the different continents. But if you have continent split for your second or third city, you're a superior nation now, with an extremely good tempo. We also get a lot of early game free units if you have a continent split. Additional warrior can save us 80 gold early game, and that's a lot. And the free galleys we receive with the Royal Navy dockyard construction help us to survey or even to attack a city-state and get us additional city. It all sounds extremely good and we get a lot of tiny things that makes our life a little bit easier, but in practice it's just a little bit easier. We don't get any superior bonus, we don't get any extreme bonuses, so I rate this ability with an 8 apples. Civilization bonus Workshop of the World. Iron and coal mines accumulate 2 more resources per turn. Harbor building can increase strategic resources stockpiled by +10 on startup speed, +100% production toward military engineers. Military engineers receive +2 charges. Building that provides additional yields when powered receive +4 of that yields, +20% production toward industrial zone buildings. I like this bonus because we get extra coal for our late game and we can power all our buildings with a simple coal power plants. Once again, we get a lot of tiny, nice things, but nothing special except of plus extra 4 yields for powered buildings. That's an extremely late game bonus that makes England my favorite civilization. It's like a built-in Albert Einstein for your labs. And even more, your stadiums generate extra 2 amenities, which makes Great Britain one of the happiest civilization in the game. The only problem is all these bonuses are available in the late game. That's why I rated them only with the 7 apples. Unique unit Sidak, it's a better version of a privateer. Privateers and Sidaks quite popular units nowadays because you don't have enough niter to build good amount of frigates for a great naval fight. Only problem here is great naval fights are not that common. So if you're in one of those fights, Sidaks will be handy. If not, well, they're basically useless and you can build few of them just to pillage your enemies. Even though it's a way better sea raider than Ottomans or Germans one, I still rate it quite low with only 6 apples. Unique building, Royal Navy Dockyard. First of all, it's a unique district and it's quite cheap, so you can spam it and launch your district discount. That is why it's worth at least 10 apples. Except its price, it also gives you a lot of tiny bonuses as every single ability for England. As I was saying, some games you might use them, some games you won't even know those bonuses even exists. So there is nothing much to talk about, it's a solid 10 and let's move on. Bonuses synergy. Well, I have to say, we have a lot of tiny bonuses which barely stacks with each other. We have Royal Navy Tokyo that grants us a lot of ships, that's nice, but we have other bonuses that might never be used an entire game, like for example different continents settle, or red codes with extremely efficient on a different continents, but we might never have one. To my surprise, I can grant only 7 apples for bonuses synergy and only because I like this civ a lot. Star dependence. Well, that's the easiest topic of them all. If you have continent split, you're a king. If you're not, it's still a solid civ. The only problem you might have is the lack of coastal settles. But you still can use lakes or distant harbors. Usually England rushing industrialization, so you don't really have to worry about having hills or not because Workshop of the World will boost your production in mid-game. Aggressive neighbor might be a problem, but usually they prefer to have a trade agreement with England than fight. So I think Wiki worth 6 star dependent because of the continent split. Gameplay. I'm in love with this Civ. It is super easy, super fun, and it is hard to make a bad start playing Wiki. You can rush your unique district and have a district discount and have a lot of good traders, internals or externals, and of course your golden age secured like first, second and third one. Doesn't really matter, you can get them all. You have a straight and simple gameplay plan, just rush industrialization and win the game. Easy peasy, super cool, and I highly recommend you to try Wiki. But unfortunately, I can't grant Wiki more than 8 apples because you have to learn how to manage your science. It is a common problem for all naval thieves, and Wiki is one of those. Survivability. Yes, it's all about managing your science. You can't go straight top, you can't go straight bottom because you must keep a balance between of top and bottom tech tree, but you still have a good unique units and nice strategic resources bonuses that will help you to survive early, mid, and late game easily. VK, of course, not one of those worried thieves, it's more like economical thief. That is why I give her only 6 apple for this topic. Big power. Well, Wiki quite strong early game thief in economical way, and her economical dominance get even more and more obvious with the game flow. She reached her maximum potential in a deep late game when the stadiums appears with the labs and the broadcast centers. So her ability of changing something in the game hardly depends on your simming ability. In a late game, you can easily perform a GDR push, but it might be a bit too late, so I grant her only 6 apples for his big power. Once again, win condition for week depends on the development level. In most cases, it's either domination victory or a scientific victory, because of good amount production we have. But unfortunately, Queen Victoria has no specific type of victory, which forces me to give her only 6 apples and this topic, which in total grants us 70 apples, which is quite good result. VK one of the best and maybe my favorite Civ in the entire game, so I'm quite happy that she reached 70 points. Okay, now let's talk about a brand new version of Queen Victoria Age of Steam. Later bonus Age of Steam plus 10% production in the cities for every industrial zone building in that city, plus 1 production to all strategic resources. Yes, it was not mistake, this bonus is already nerfed in a BPG and grants only 1 production to all strategic resources. What can I say, it's way simpler bonus, but it's a super efficient because in late game where Victoria is truly shine, you can have plus 50% production in your city within amenity bonuses. I believe you guys can understand that 30% production is a massive bonus, and on top of that, you get extra production for an early game, which is cool. So I think this bonus worth at least 9 apples. Civilization bonus, unique unit and unique building are the same, so we'll move on straight to bonuses synergy. As in a previous case, we have tiny bonuses here and there which barely stacks with each other, but now we don't have any bonuses for Royal Navy Docket and our leader's ability. So even though Age of Steam is superior bonus and it does looks like an imba, I don't think that all bonuses are working well together. Don't get me wrong, Age of Steam and Workshop of the World works together perfectly, but there's a lot of things that might happen before you reach industrialization and reach your full potential with a stadium amenity buff. So if you focus not only on a deep late where Victoria truly shines, but on an all game, I think bonuses synergy worth about 6 apples. Start dependence. Well, now we have a bit more production early with the help of horses and maybe even iron. It helps us a little bit, but it changed nothing much, and on top of that we lost our continent split bonus, which sometimes might be crucial. So I think it will be fair if I add additional apple for a star dependent on Age of Steam Victoria. Gameplay is basically the same. I've seen some players rushing industrial zones before campuses, but I think you should just play standard build order for Wiki and reach industrialization as soon as possible. It's still super fun and easy, and now you'll get even more production in the late game. So I think this topic is still the same. I rate it with an 8 apple. Survivability is slightly better for Age of Steam Victoria, because now it's more profitable to open with the animal husbandry than rush Royal Navy dockyards. With that you'll have more production and more time to build earlier galleys. Also, you can accumulate more horses, so you can build more horsemen's when it's time. Survivability is still the same on other topics, even though you lost redcoats, they're still quite useless. So with a safer early game, I think it's fair to rate it with the 7 apples. Pick power. It is still in a deep late game. It is still depend on your ability to sim, and you still have no any military bonuses. So I'll sim entire map, spam some GDRs, profit. I rated the same as some classical wiki with the 6 apples. Win condition, once again, no specific win condition for you. You still can achieve military, you still can achieve scientific victory. Nothing changed for you in this topic, except of course it is slightly easier for you to build GDRs. Still the same amount of apples for its win condition, which is 6. And in total, Victoria Age of Steam could earn 72 apples, which is a good result, I have to say. And as you can see, the Age of Steam bonus is not an imba at all. Victoria is not perma-banned in a multiplayer games, so 72 apples is quite a fair score. And now let's talk about the leader who got perma-banned immediately after its release, the great Queen Virgin Elizabeth I. Letter bonus Drake's Legacy. England trade rate capacity increased by 2 after acquiring your first Great Admiral. Must be a Renaissance era or earlier Great Admiral for the standard rule set. Trade routes to any city-states provide plus 3 gold for every specialty district in the original city. Plus 100% yields from plundering trade routes with naval units. So guys, this super autonomous, extremely strong trading thief. So after you receive your first admiral, which is about 1030, you'll get extra 2 trade routes, which is absolute maximum of a free traders you can have in a Civ game. Unlike Victoria, Pax Britannica, you don't even have to settle somewhere on a different continent, you just get those free trade routes right away. This of course leads us to a situation where you can open with the 4 cities and have 3 Magnus internals turn 33 or something, which is an extremely good and will boost your civilization to the sky. Unlike Victoria Age of Steam, you don't have to wait for entire game to get your bonuses, you get them right now. And on top of that, you can generate extreme amount of gold with that city-state trading. Keep in mind that Whistle Banking and Trade Confederation is working with the city-state trading. This makes this ability one of the strongest abilities in the game and it's worth 10 apples. As with the previous case, unique units, unique building and Civ bonuses are rated the same. So we're moving straight to the bonuses synergy and I have to say we have a winner. Drake's Legacy stacks extremely well with the Royal Navy dockyard, which gives us extreme tempo in the game and enormous amount of gold generation. Without any additional words, I think Elizabeth's bonuses synergy is worth 9 apples. It is still not the best combo wombo with a workshop of the world, that is the only reason why I didn't give it 10 apples. Star dependent, same case as a Victoria Age of Steam. We need a lot of coastal settles, which can be a problem, but in general, we don't really care much about resources we have. So, as you might guess, it's a 6 apples for star dependent. Gameplay is way better for Elizabeth. All you have to do is make a few projects to get an early game admiral, and boom, you get extra 2 trade routes. This trick will grant you extreme tempo, and you can outsim everyone else on the map. And as I was saying, a lot of England bonuses works in late game, but now we have more early game bonuses which helps us a lot. So as you might guess, gameplay with Elizabeth is easier and stronger, and it's worth at least 9 apples. Survivability. Well, I think it's similar to Victoria Pax Britannica. You of course can't build redcoats, but you have extra gold so you can buy some other units which help you to survive any attack. So I think Elizabeth is quite solid, safe, and its survivability can be rated with the 6 apples. Big power for Elizabeth, definitely in late game, but with that extra gold you can generate, it is possible for you to perform early game Carbal Rush. But in most cases it changes nothing, so you should focus on a deep late game. I think it's worth 6 apples as all of the Englands. Win conditions. Once again, you don't have any specific win condition for these thieves, and I tried to repeat it, so 6 apples, which in total grants Elizabeth 75 points, which make her the best England leader. Now we'll talk about the last England leader, Eleanor of Aquitaine. BBG team hardly worked her and she was one of the most popular leaders in civilization. But some time ago she was not and now no one plays her. Her unique ability, Court of Love, plus 100% production to theater square buildings. Great works in Eleanor's cities each cost -1 loyalty per turn in foreign cities within 9 tiles. A city that leaves another civilization due to a loss of loyalty and is currently receiving the most loyalty per turn from Eleanor's civilization skips the free city step to join the civilization. Great works receive additional yields depending on the district in the cities. Long story short, this England spams theater square instead of campuses. The biggest issue here, you have no bonuses at all until you get at least one book. Main strategy for her is to farm as many early books as possible, but to receive bonuses you must not only farm those books but build extra districts to receive bonuses dependent on those districts you own. And everything was fine, Eleanor was popular till someone decided to nerf her, and now each book gives you not two but only one bonus, depending on the districts. Which means you must sacrifice expansion in attempt to get early books, which gives you almost nothing because you have not enough districts. On top of that, your naval chief, which have to rush caravels. So the problem with Eleanor is by the caravel timing you have no science, no culture, no gold, no nothing, and your bonus stacks well only in a deep late game, but because of all problems you have early, you can't reach it. I think I'm rating it a bit too high, giving Court of Love 6 apples. As with the previous cases, I just skipped the bonuses, unique unit and unique buildings, and we're moving straight toward bonuses synergy. I don't want to say it's absolute disaster, and you can always place free inquiry with Royal Navy Dockyard plus theater squares, but it doesn't really work that well as if you just play Magnus and Tunnels on a regular England. So I think 5 apples is more than enough for this topic. Start depending. Unlike others in England, you're suffering a bit more with this topic. You need good quality start with a lot of fresh water to keep your cities tall. You can't win by just spamming cities, you must have good quality cities, which sometimes hard to achieve. So I think 5 apples is more than enough for start dependent. Gameplay is quite fun for Eleanor and you can really have a good time if of course you are a pro player. You must know a lot of the game, you must perform district discount build, you must be aware of when and how to defend or to attack anyone, and of course you must know what to do in the late game because only there you'll get all your bonuses. This is a really hard save with a lot of potential, but I think it's nerfed a bit too much. That is why I think she deserves 6 apples only. Survivability. In terms of survivability, you have none of it. You don't have any bonus production, any bonus damage, you have nothing, and all you can hope for that no one will try to attack you till you get some books for them. Eleanor is super vulnerable on land and on sea, and too busy with her project to make any defensive units. I don't think I can give her more than 4 apples in this topic. As the rest of England leaders, Eleanor have its big power in a very deep lake. There you can farm some books, artworks and music, and with the help of Workshop of the World you can reach some good stats. I think in a deep lake she's quite equal for all other Englands in terms of big power and she worth of a 6 apples. In terms of win condition for Eleanor is quite clear, it's a cultural victory. She can accumulate good amount of artworks during the game, so it's not a big problem for her to achieve it. I really like Civilization, where you can see your win condition from the very first turn. That is why I grant Eleanor 8 apples for its win condition, which in total gives her 63 apples. Yes, she's the biggest England here. We're moving on to the chief who is ruled by true Vikings, the Norway. Harald's leader bonus Thunderbolt of the North, plus 50% production to naval melee units. Naval melee units can perform coastal raids, receive additional yields from pillaging or performing coastal raids, science from mines, culture from quarries, pastures, plantation, and camps. And the BBG additional bonus plus 50% production to Haliside district coasts and lakes provide a standard adjacency bonus to Haliside district. Harbors receive a major adjacency bonus from Haliside. With the Thunderbolt of the North, Norway has a pretty much unique gameplay. You're opening with a holy site and can have discounted harbors. You're also using monumentality first unlike other naval civs. Because of that, Norway is quite late on anything which remains science and only catch it up by turn 80. Bonus production toward naval melee unit is quite strong, and of course pillaging is welcomed. So I think this bonus worth at least 8 apples. Save bonus Knar. Units gain the ability to enter ocean tiles after researching their shipbuilding technology. Naval melee units heal in natural territory if they are on coast. Units ignore additional movement cost from embarking and disembarking. This is just utility bonus that makes all Norway abilities a bit stronger. It was hardly nerfed in the BBG because nowadays ships can heal only on a coast tile, not on a deep sea tiles. There is nothing much to talk about, I think, compared to other Tis bonuses. This bonus is not that great and worth only 6 apples. Unique unit is Berserker. It's situationally good. The biggest bonus of a Berserker that it can be purchased with a faith. Sometimes you can use Berserkers to destroy your opponent's cities, but in most cases they are too weak to a ranged attacks. Like samurais, they discovered in feudalism which make them way better than regular men-at-arms. But unlike samurais, they are too squishy. It's a glass cannon which can be used but must be used properly. So I think it's worth about 8 apples, maybe even less, but I don't want to mess up with Vikings. Norway unique building is stave charge, it grants you extra phase and extra production from various resources. If you're playing Norway, you just rush it, you build it, and you're having profit immediately. It is simple to use, and I like it, so I think it's worth about 7 apples. Bonus is synergy. Almost every single bonus that Norway has was touched by a BBG team. So no wonder it has such a good bonus synergy. You can open with a holy site that will buff your harbors and will boost your resources with the help of stave charge. You can accumulate some faith and buy some berserkers with it if needed. Your longships can sail to a distant land to plunder and pillage it, which grants you extra culture, science, phase, and even healing. So everything works perfectly for Norway with this leader, and I think its bonuses synergy worth a 10 apples. Stat dependent. Well, Norway is quite dependent on a good start. You're vulnerable on a careless timing because you're always late with that, and that is the biggest Norway weakness. You must have good holy site placement, otherwise you won't have good harbors placement as well. Sometimes it can be solved with chopping wood, sometimes it's not, and if it's not, your gameplay will be not that great as it's supposed to be. So in terms of start dependence, yes, Norway is dependent on a good start, and I think I can rate this topic with a 6 apples. Gameplay. Well, you have to know a lot about game to perform Norway perfectly. In simming terms, you must rely on a district discount. And of course, it's a good idea to pillage someone, but you must be sure that you won't get any damage by doing so. Personally, I don't really like aggressive thieves because you will ruin game for your friends. But if you like aggressive thieves or you don't have any friends, Norway is for you. Unfortunately for you, it is my rating and I think gameplay for Norway worth about 6 apples. Survivability. Yeah, talking about survivability, Norway as an aggressive civ is super strong with this topic. You have early game long ships with a 35 military strength and berserkers, which protect you in a mid game. The only problem you might have is caravel push, but with the long ship spam it's not a big of a deal and eventually you'll survive any type of caravel push. So even if I don't like it, I have to admit that Norway is a quite strong civ and its survivability can be rated with 8 apples. Peak power. And Norway is a pain in the ass for almost every single naval civ. If there is a tiny chance for Norway to reach your coastline, they will do it. And it's really hard to defend against longships. It's basically ruin your game and eventually you'll lose to Norway if they will find you. So Norway can win game very early. Longships are quite fast. It's way better than Legionnaires or any other melee unit. They are super cheap. With a 50% bonus, it costs only 12 production to build one. So you can spam infinite amount of those ships. And I'd say it's one of the strongest and earliest push in the game. That is why I rate it with a 10 apples. Even though Norway has strongest push and one of the earliest peak power timings, win conditions for Norway are quite poor. I don't think you can reach any type of victory besides military. Let's face it, it's really fun to pillage someone early game, but I assure your late game will be quite miserable without any chances of getting any victory. I can't remember the game where Norway could carry its team. That is why I grant Norway only with a 5 apples for its win condition, which in total gives us 74 apples. This is quite good result, I have to say, for such worried sieve. And for the last, after the beautifully reworked Harald, we'll talk about the new one, Harald Hardrada Varangyang. His unique bonus, Varangyang God, 75% discount on levying units, and levying units receive culture, faith and science from kills equal to 50% of the opponent's combat strength. To be honest, to me that sounds like a joke. We don't have any military bonus for that units. We don't have any discount for promoting that units. So I hardly doubt that those levied units can kill anyone or can even push any thief played by a human. And if we're talking about deity difficulty, all deity difficulty units has +4 against your units. So basically it won't work at all. This is not a bonus, it's nothing. I hardly believe it will be reworked into something better with a BBG, so for now I grant it 5 apples into advance. Thief bonus, unique unit and unique building are pretty the same, so we'll skip these topics and move straight to bonuses synergy. As you can see, we lost almost everything cool we had. We don't have superior Halicides, we don't have longships, we don't have melee units production bonus, so it's basically nothing. All we have is an ability to levy some units and promote those swordsmen or warriors into berserkers and raid someone. That is basically it. So without any delays and with my hopes that Sif will be reworked, I grant Harald Varagian a 5 apples for his bonuses synergy. Stud dependence. Well, it's basically the same with only thing that you don't have to rush holy sites now, and I don't really know how would you play this guy without it. I think you all agree that 6 apples is more than enough for its star dependence, so let's move on. Gameplay, well, now it's super boring. You can't raid someone with the long ships, you can outspam someone with the long ships, and you don't have good holy sites. But in a general, it's still basically the same. You have to build staff church somewhere, and you're playing naval thieves with a monumentality first, I guess. I haven't tried a different build but that, but the fact that Harold is not per bonnet means he's quite a bad thief now. So once again, I think it will be reworked, so I give him 6 apples in advance. Survivability for Harold. Well, it's some sort of good because you still can buy berserkers with faith. And you can levy city-states with a really low price, which gives you extra defense. So I'd say he's worth of a 6 apples. Big power might never happen for this one because you don't have long ships. Berserker raid is still a thing and you can levy some units and raid someone. It's quite annoying, but Hungary can do it way better. So for now I can't give him more than 5 apples in this topic. Win condition. So his sim bonuses was hardly reduced and his military bonuses were hardly reduced, so he basically lost a lot of points in this topic, so I think it's 4 apples and let's finish this. Unfortunately, New Herald is quite weak. He was able to get only 58 apples, which is not that bad, but it is not something good and not something I would recommend you to play. Once again, I hardly believe that PBG team will rework him and he'll be way better than old one. But for now, it's only 58. Thanks a lot for watching, hope you haven't fallen asleep. If you're still here, please like this video, leave a comment below, share and subscribe if you're still not. All these actions will help this video and channel to grow. Sending you positive vibes, much love, have a nice day.